Good afternoon, boys and girls, and today we are going to be starting another new story, and I'm really excited about this one also. So, we're still focusing on the same standard that we've been focusing on all week, which is main idea. So, as you guys know, main idea is what the story is mostly about, and we're going to use clues as we read to figure out what is the main idea of this story. So, one of the biggest ones is turning the title into a question. That will help tell us what this story is mostly about. We also want to look at what is the author talking about over and over and over again. What are those clue words that are used repeatedly? And that will help us with the main idea. We're also going to be focusing on key details. The key details are all the other information that helps support the main idea. So before we start reading, we're going to preview some vocabulary words. And the first vocabulary word we're going to talk about is meteorologist. So a meteorologist is a scientist that tracks the weather. Storm chaser, a person who follows and watches a serious storm. Normally, chasers take pictures or videos of the storm that they're watching out for, and that is very dangerous, so please do not try that at home. Radar, a system that tracks the weather. So if you guys with your parents are ever watching the Weather Channel, most likely you are looking at the radar. And last word, rubble. Piles of wood, trees, cement left behind after a storm, tornado, or hurricane. So here's a couple pictures of some horrible rubble that happened probably after a tornado or a hurricane, because this is a pretty serious looking storm. And this house used to be a house, and now it's just a big pile of rubble. So this story seems pretty appropriate today because I don't know about you guys, but it's been raining really hard at my house, and it's been, really cloudy and gloomy out all day. So this seems like a really good story to work with today. So as we read, please make sure you guys are focusing on what is our main idea? What is the author wanting to explain to us in this story? What is this story mostly about? Okay, let's get started. The evil swirling darkness. Okay, I'm kind of scared because this seems like, it's not going to end well. So the evil swirling darkness. What is the evil swirling darkness? What could the evil swirling darkness be? I guess we're going to have to read. On May 22nd, 2011, a huge tornado struck the city of Joplin, Missouri. This is the story of two boys and a storm chaser who were caught in the tornado's deadly grip. Oh gosh. That's why I said storm chasing is not safe. It was Sunday, May 22nd, 2011. Before the day was over, much of the city of Joplin, Missouri would be in ruins. 158 people would be dead and more than 1,000 injured. But as the day began, Ethan and Bennett Starley were thinking about a birthday party. It was Bennett's 11th birthday, and both he and 7-year-old Ethan were excited for an afternoon pool party at their grandparents' house. Meanwhile, 230 miles away in Norman, Oklahoma, storm chaser Jeff Petrowski was worried. For more than 35 years, Petrowski had been studying thunderstorms and tornadoes. Tornadoes are hard to spot. Once a tornado forms, it cannot be seen, even by the most powerful radar. It remains hidden until it roars out of the storm clouds to destroy everything in its path. Petrowski had just been tracking a dangerous storm system. He knew it might create tornadoes later that day, but exactly when and where? So, what were Ethan and Bennett and Jeff Petrowski doing? Well, Ethan and Bennett, it was just a normal day for them. They were just excited about a birthday party that they were going to be going to. But Petrowski, on the other hand, Jeff Petrowski, he was tracking a storm and had been doing so for a long time. The storm chaser. Meteorologists believed that a tornado was most likely going to strike in Kansas, near the Missouri border. By 11 a.m., Petrowski was in his truck, hoping to catch up with the storm by late afternoon. Storm chasers like Petrowski try to unlock the secrets of tornadoes. These men and women often provide early warnings that tornadoes are coming. This helps save lives. Over the years, Petrowski had seen more than 850 tornadoes hit, but he could not have imagined the horror of what was to come later that afternoon in Joplin. So, how do storm chasers save lives? Well, they try to let everybody know really early that tornadoes are coming, and then they provide information about tornadoes that are approaching and that are coming, and that's how people can get out of their houses and they can go find shelter, and they end up saving lives. False alarm. The Starleys heard that severe thunderstorms were predicted for later that day. This was disappointing. They'd have to move the party from their grandparents' pool back to their house. Weather forecasts said that tornadoes were possible, but tornado alerts are common in Joplin, and the city hadn't been hit by a major tornado in nearly 40 years. All those false alarms had led most people to ignore the sirens that warn of tornadoes. So let me think what false alarm might mean. It says all those false alarms had led many people to ignore the sirens. Well, a false alarm is something that is given to people, and it's non-literal, so it's not actually an alarm, but it's like a warning given to somebody, and then nothing ends up happening. So normally when false alarms happen over and over again, people start to believe that it's not even going to happen. So if someone says, oh, there's going to be a tornado, and it never happens, and then they say again, oh, there's going to be a tornado, and it never happens, and that keeps happening over and over again, no one's going to actually believe when they say there's going to be a tornado and it actually hits. In fact, Bennett and Ethan had gone to their grandparents' house to swim. By 4:30 p.m., Bennett had returned home. Everyone had waited for Ethan to come home with his cousin Wyatt, Uncle Frank, and Aunt Sarah. At 5:11, Joplin's tornado sirens rang. Just wanted to point out some of these text features. So here's a map right here, and then the caption says, "The United States of Tornadoes. Tornadoes can and do strike anywhere on Earth except Antarctica, but America is hit more than any other country by far. Every year, an average of more than 1,000 tornadoes touch down in the U.S. The biggest tornadoes tend to occur in an area known as Tornado Alley." So that's that orange section right here on the map. But tornadoes have been recorded in every state except Alaska, so even here in Florida. A new beginning. The Starley family outside their rebuilt home. So this is Bennett. Now he's 16 years old. This is Shannon, Barrett, Caroline, and Ethan. Ethan's 12 now. Okay, so at 5:11, the tornado sirens rang. Bennett's mom called Uncle Frank. "We're getting close," he promised, because remember, they're on their way home. Where was each Starley boy when the sirens went off? Okay, so Bennett was home and Ethan was on his way home. No false alarms. So I think that means that this is going to be an actual tornado. Petrowski arrived in Joplin just a few minutes later. He was sure that a tornado was about to strike. As he drove through the city, all seemed calm, but then he spotted a gigantic gray cloud moving in. It was an enormous tornado. Petrowski called 911. By then, weather forecasters throughout the region realized that Joplin was in serious danger. At 5:31, Joplin's sirens sounded again. It was unusual for the sirens to sound a second time so quickly. Many people understood that this was no false alarm. So what did Jeff Petrowski see when he got to Joplin? He saw a gigantic gray cloud that was a really big or enormous tornado. An awful attack. The Starleys and their guests ran into their basement storage room. It had concrete walls, and they used it as their tornado shelter. Outside, the tornado began attacking the city. Its 200-mile-per-hour winds destroyed brick buildings. It turned houses into piles of splintered wood and shattered glass, and it hurled cars and trucks thousands of feet. From their basement shelter, the Starleys and their guests could hear the heartbreaking sounds of their home being ripped apart. All they could think about was Ethan, Wyatt, Frank, and Sana. They were somewhere outside, caught in the evil swirling darkness. So what happened to the home? Well, the home is being shattered, and they can hear it from their basement. They can hear their home being ripped apart. The greatest gift. When the tornado had finally finished with Joplin, it left behind a trail of rubble 13 miles long. More than 1,000 people were injured. The tornado, America's deadliest in 60 years, killed 158 people. But Uncle Frank's truck finally appeared. Frank, Sana, Ethan, and Wyatt were all safe. Ethan will likely never forget the awful moments when the tornado hit the truck. The window was smashed and glass sprayed all over him. He feared he might not ever see his family again. But when Bennett Starley looks back on his 11th birthday, he knows he received the greatest gift imaginable. My family survived the tornado, he explains. Wow. So it's pretty crazy that they ended up safe after that really deadly tornado. So let's take a look at the photographs. It says, chasing the storm. Jeff Petrosky speaks to 911 operators after spotting the tornado in Joplin. So this is him calling 911 once he sees that the tornado is that really big, enormous cloud. Broken homes. Ethan's parents watch as their damaged house is torn down. So that's right here. The Joplin tornado destroyed more than 7,500 buildings, including these homes. So here's a picture of all of that being destroyed. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go work on your exit ticket, and the secret word for today's lesson is going to be rain. The reason I say rain is because with a tornado usually comes a lot of crazy rain, and it's been raining a lot here lately, so that's going to be our secret word. If you need help getting access to Storyworks, the links are on the Google Classroom for each of you, so you'll be able to sign in and have access to all the stories. So go ahead and do your exit ticket and let your teachers know if you have any issues.